Hey friends, this is Eric the Mind Control Guy. I'm sitting here in an undisclosed location with an old feller I've known for many, many years. Years ago, he told me about a story that he read in the LA Times, and it's pretty telling. There was a roving reporter, used to hear about all kinds of news that the powers that be don't want the common folk to know about. And it goes all about money. And anyway, in the country of Canada, which we all know is socialized medicine, it's like everybody gets to pay for your ailments about except you. You know, under socialism, somebody else gets to pay for our problems. We don't. And so, anyway, the country of Canada uh, kind of started losing a whole lot of money because a whole bunch of young people were having heart attacks. Why are all these young people having heart attacks? Well, they started doing a bunch of studies. And come to find out, it had to do with a thing called homogenized milk that you can find in any grocery store. And apparently the process and all that is, homogenized milk is the reason a lot of young people were having heart attacks. Now, it might not affect everybody, but affect enough people that the Canadian government was shelling out millions of dollars because of people's heart attacks. Now, the individual who's going to remain off camera is going to tell the details about the process of homogenized milk, and then is going to let you know how you can get around homogenized milk. So I'm going to turn the floor over.
Well, the homogenized milk, homogenization, was something they came up with because when you take this milk from a cow, you put that in any kind of a container, and all the cream floats to the top. Well, the fat molecules are very buoyant. They're a lot bigger than the normal molecules in the milk, and they float. That's the reason they float to the top. Well, they wanted to be able to sell the milk and not have all that cream floating to the top. And there are other reasons, of course, because they took the cream and turned it into butter and things anyway. But the homogenization process that they use is a high frequency process that breaks all the fat molecules down into microscopic little pieces. And once you break the little, whatever you call it, the little cell wall around it, once you break that, then the fat molecules broken up into tiny pieces, they don't float up like it does in normal milk. So the fat then just mixes with the milk. That's why they call it homogenized. Homogenized, that's what it means. It's all mixed. But the problem is, with all those tiny, tiny little fat molecules, they're almost microscopic, they get through your system and they get into your heart and vascular system, because normally fat can't get the cream, fat and cream can't get through there. The fat cells are too big. But when they're broken down, these tiny fat particles go right through the system, and they're not filtered out anyway like they used to be long ago. So it used to be they were held back, and then your bile broke the fat down, liquefied it, and your body used it. But when they do what they do with the homogenization process, those tiny, tiny little microscopic particles, there's billions of them, they go on through and they aren't treated by the bile to break the fat down. So the fat particles end up in your arterial system, and it affects your entire vascular system. And when they found out, they were doing the studies wondering why so many young people in Canada in this case were having coronaries and so forth. Then after they started doing the studies, they found out what the cause was. It's from all the homogenized milk. So the Canadian government, since they're paying the bill, Canadian government decided they were going to do away with that, not let them homogenize it. And well, they can homogenize it, but they took all the cream out first. And so the word got around the Canadian government was trying to really get that out there so people would understand and protect themselves. And this roving reporter found out about it, was telling about it, and the Dairy Association in this country just went ballistic. So they weren't going to have that. They didn't want anybody to know all that. So the dairy industry really went after the people from the news people that brought that to out here to the public, and that's caused a great big problem. And so I know the guys, the news guys that reported that got into pretty serious trouble, and they got a lot of threats and everything. So, but the homogenization process they use, people ought to know about it, and that's what that guy was trying to do, and that's what the Dairy Association doesn't want.
So if people still want to get milk, they still want to drink milk, how do they get around the dangers of homogenized milk?
How do you get around what?
The dangers of drinking homogenized milk. Skim milk.
Don't drink homogenized milk.
Didn't you say there's a way to drink milk, but you don't have to worry about that homogenized?
What I do, and I did until Carol was gone, I go up here and I buy skim milk. It's totally fat-free, and most markets sell it. And they also sell pure cream, whipping cream they call it. So I take some of the whipping cream and pour it into a jug of milk, the skim milk. And then you shake it up a little bit, and it mixes if you shake it up, and then you pour some and use it. If you let it sit a little while after you've shaken it up, then the cream comes back to the top again. But that's how I get around it.
So you can still drink milk without having to worry about the dangers of homogenized milk
That's right.
by getting skim milk. And about how much cream do you put in there?
Well, I buy whipping cream. It's in quart things.
I've seen it at the store, whipping cream. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I buy it at Walmart. They got the best deal. I buy whipping cream. And you just pour a bunch in there, and shake it up, and use it. And you do that a little while. You know what tastes best for you. It might what I like might not be what somebody else likes. Somebody like it a lot of cream. Some people might not want a lot, but you just pour it in the skim milk and shake it up, and away you go.
So skim milk with the box of whipping cream. Pour some of that in there. Stir it up. You can still drink your milk, but you don't get the dangers of homogenized milk.
Because the fat cells aren't broken down to microscopic little particles that get into your vascular system.
And that's what was giving people heart attacks.
It was so much of it in Canada that they were wondering how come we got all these young people with this coronary problems all over Canada. Well, there's socialized medicine in Canada. So the whole country got involved in let's find out about this. And the Canadian government, their whole system is socialized medicine. So they really went after it and they found out what the problem was. But the dairy people and people like that don't even want it out there.
Yep. So that's the story on the dangers of homogenized milk and how to get around it by still being able to drink milk, just not homogenized. And this roving reporter who did this story worked for the LA Times. And like this individual said, the big wigs at the dairy company told the LA Times, where that story was in many years ago, said if you print one more word of that, we'll yank all our advertising out of your paper. We don't care about people's lives. We care about money. And that's just about what they said. Whether they said that word for word or verbatim, I don't know. But those kind of people have actually said, we don't care about people's lives. We care about money. So homogenized milk is a bad thing. And if people want to continue doing it, fine. People drink cigarettes, people smoke cigarettes, people drink booze, people do all that kind of stuff. But in Canada, because they had to be paying for everybody's medical bills because they're a socialist society, then they did the investigation and they found out. Unfortunately, here in the States, the dairy business has got a lot of power. And if the Justice Department wanted to go after somebody, then go after them. When they're putting out a product that's basically they're getting rich off killing people because of the process, then those are the ones they need to go after. Anyway, I just wanted to get this story out there. So y'all just take it for what it's worth. Take care.